Okay, so here we're continuing on in the Bible in Genesis chapter 7. Genesis chapter 7, we're at verse 20. Actually, verse 21. Okay. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both fowl and cattle and beast, and of every creepy thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. Okay. And all whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land, died, dinosaurs included. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the earth, both man and cattle and creepy things and the fowl of the heaven. And they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. Whew. And again, we're not talking about from, sun and moon and, various weather patterns by way of, precipitation and our weather stuff. This was God's vengeance and God's doing something, creating a whole new world or destroying everything on the earth, not just in their area. He destroyed the whole world, So that flood, that water was massive. But now we're in Genesis chapter 8. All right. Now, before I get into this, I want to point out a very important factor here. Because again, in another video I mentioned this, how Hollywood would make everybody think that the ark was going down and they were just waiting for it to stop and waiting for the waters to stop so that they can get off the ark and get things, start a new life. They're not looking at, let's put the real to this. Let's put the real to this. Okay? This is you and your family. Let's say, for example, the Lord told you to go get all these animals, of male and female, of everything that you can, not only that you can find, but I'm assuming that the Lord made sure things were there for you to get. You know what I mean? To repopulate this earth for after the flood. Okay, and here y'all are on the ark. There's another factor here. And I put in another video, I mentioned some of this. The thunder and lightning must have been humongous. The thunder and the lightning. Here you are on the ark. This was, like I said on that other video, this was no pleasure cruise. Here you are on the ark with your family, okay? And you got it to at least where you got grass on stuff on the ground where you can walk around on this thing because it has the various compartments and stuff. Okay, you have different animals. You got the constant noise of the animals, constant noise of rain outside 24/7, and constant noise of the thunder and lightning that's going on outside. So this was and you didn't know where you were going. You didn't know how this thing was going. Were you going to crash at some point? Were you going to go all of a sudden down to some kind of, you don't know nothing. All you know is the doors are closed. And because God said things to you, it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Because God said it. And he allowed us to be like this. So it's going to be all right. Okay. All right. That said, now we get into chapter 8. And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters subsided. And the fountains also of the deep and of the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from the heaven was restrained. Now that's, remember, God made a water that was above the waters. He made it on the firmament. He made the waters down here on the earth, but he had another waters up there above there, and that's the water he released to come down. So it was heavy stuff. And the waters returned from off the earth continually. After the end of 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month on the 17th day of the month upon the mountains of Ararat. That means Ararat, Turkey. And the waters decreased continually until the 10th month. And in the 10th month, on the first day of the month, were the tops of mountains seen. You can finally start seeing the little creeks of mountains starting to creak through. That must have been the weirdest thing. All right. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window, one of the portal windows to the ark that he had made. And he sent forth a raven. And the raven went to and fro until the waters were dried up off the earth. And he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the earth and off the ground. But the dove found no rest and came right back and returned to him to the ark, for the waters were on the whole face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and he sent forth a dove out of the ark. And the dove came to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. He waited another 7 days and sent forth the dove, which had not returned unto him anymore. Okay. It says here, and it came to pass in the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the second month of the 7th and 20th day of the month, the earth was dried. And then God spake unto Noah again and said, Go forth, thou and thy wife and thy sons wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee of all flesh, both fowl and of the cattle and of the creepy thing, and that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth and be fruitful and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, he and his sons and his wives and his sons' wives with them. And every beast and everything, they all went out of the ark. Okay? And the first thing Noah did, he built an altar unto the Lord. Okay? And he even made a burnt offering. He made an offering unto the Lord. You know what I mean? And the Lord smelled the sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. But for the imagination of man's heart is evil, even from his youth. Neither will I smite again anymore everything living as I have done. He's so wonderful, our Father. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. It's so wonderful. Okay. And God blessed Noah and said unto him and his family, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. There it is. Start over again. Okay. Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and on every fowl of the air, and upon everything that moveth upon the earth, and upon all of the fishes in the sea, and into your hands they are delivered. In other words, God's given them the same power over everything that he gave Adam and Eve in the beginning. Okay? All right. So every moving thing that lived shall be meat for you, even as the green herb I've given you all things. But flesh within the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, you shall not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. Oh, and surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it. At the hand of man and at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whosoever shed man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. Okay, now you go and be fruitful and multiply and bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I behold, I established my covenant with you and your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl and of the cattle and of the beasts of the earth with you, and from all that go out of the ark to every beast on the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there be any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And God said, this is the token of the covenant which I have made between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. Woo! I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. In other words, a rainbow. Okay? And it shall come to pass that when I bring a cloud over the earth, rainbow, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between, oh, he's so wonderful, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. He's so wonderful. And notice how he keeps saying it. He keeps repeating it and letting Noah know. Don't y'all ever be afraid. Don't you worry. I'm not going to do that no more. Don't worry. You know what I mean? And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. Okay? Between this bow, do you see this rainbow? That's going to be this a covenant. That's letting you know when you see the rainbow in the sky. That's going to be like that's going to be me. You knowing that's me and having a covenant with you and mankind. Okay, and there'll never be a flood again. This, that, and the other. Oh, just so wonderful. Now go on and establish the world. Now this is important because we know what's going to end up happening, and of course we can get to it in a second, but. Here's the Lord. He's just basically starting all over again. Whew. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham is the father of Canaan. These are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. That's, in other words, that's where we all come from. Okay, and Noah began to be a husbandman, and he planted a vineyard, and he drank of the wine and was drunken, and he was uncovered within his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brethren without. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon their shoulders, and went backwards, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backward. And they saw not their father's nakedness. And when Noah awoke from his wine, he knew what his younger son had done to him. And he said, Cursed be you, Canaan. Now, he didn't say Ham. He said Canaan. I'll explain that in a second. Cursed be you, Canaan. A servant of servants shall you be unto your brethren. And then he gives this little prophecy. And he said, Blessed be the Lord of Shem, and Canaan shall be the servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Huh? I'll explain in a second. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Wait a minute. What? What? Please forgive me, you guys. Look at this. This is the first time I've ever read something like this here. Talking about Bible translations. Look at this. Let me tell you what it really is supposed to say. Bah! It says that Noah, when he woke up and cursed his son Ham, he said, "Cursed be you, Ham, for you shall be served," similar to this, slaves, you shall be servants unto your brothers. Then he gave a major prophecy here. There'll be a feast at Shem's house. Japheth will be the guest of honor there, and Shem will be the servant of these two. Now, he, of course, as like this little weird one here, he wasn't talking about a real party or a real feast. He was talking about a generational thing that's going to happen. The feast is going to be at Shem's house. The reason why it's going to be at Shem's house is because Shem is going to continue on and staying with the Lord of God, the God of Abraham. And everything he does and all the people that's going to come from him, the Jewish people, everybody's going to come from him. In particular, Abraham. But we'll get to, I don't want to jump ahead of myself. All right. Japheth is the various cultures that came into the world from Arabia all the way heading east, like, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, and heading towards the eastern countries of the world. Going far east, all the way to China, Russia, Japan, all that, okay? And Ham is the African. And we'll see how he became the African. Well, it wasn't called Africa at that time, but he ended up going to what we call today's Africa, and I'll explain all of that. Now, there's a reason why this prophecy is this way, and it doesn't really have anything to do with him seeing his dad's nakedness. It's because of what Ham's going to be doing, and his generation is going to be doing coming up. That's where the real curse is going to be. So how dare they change it here? This is why people don't believe in God. This is why people don't believe in the Bible and our Father and all that. Because there's some, and there's usually some church somewhere doing this kind of foolishness. Instead of leaving the Bible the way God made it and leaving it like that. So if it's good or bad or cursed or not or whatever, it's the way God made it. Period. It's not meant for you to be fooling around with it. Please forgive my anger in this. I can't stand this. Oh. Can you believe that? This is the first time I ever read this. Okay, anyway. Let me see. I'll have to continue on the best I can and getting around. Luckily, I know the story. Lord, luckily, the wonderful part is the Lord revealed to me these stories, so I could tell them to you, and give you a version of what really happened here beyond all these new fancy whatevers. Okay. Whew. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. Okay, Genesis chapter 10. All right. Wow. And these are the generations of Noah's sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth, and unto them were born sons after the flood. Then it gets off into all of the sons. Japheth's sons first. I'll just say one name here. I'll say a couple of names, but there's one that I want to point out. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Teres. It's Magog. Remember that name, Magog. Okay, Magog, and Japheth and his son Magog. Remember that name. Okay. In the book of Revelation, where the Armageddon war is going to jump off. And he says, woe unto you. And he says, Magog. And there's the name of it. There's where the first name starts right there. Japheth. I said Japheth, his family's from Arabia, all the way going east. That's Magog. Remember that. Okay. Okay. Then it goes on and goes on and goes on with the different various names. it goes down a little bit more and says, these are the names, after they give a few various names and generations down, it says, by these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands, every one after his tongue and after their families in their nations, the Gentiles. Okay. Then it says here, now we get into the sons of Ham. The African. Okay. Which would be Cush, Mizraim, Put, Canaan. Okay. And then you talk about Cush's sons, Mizraim's sons and so forth and all that. Okay. But another one's important here. Cush begat Nimrod, and he begat to be a mighty one on the earth. Okay. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. A mighty hunter. Who was the other hunter? Cain. He became a hunter. Now Nimrod's a hunter. Remember this hunter part of it. Okay. All right. And he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. Okay. So, whoa. Okay. Now, and I'm going to keep, as we talk about Nimrod, I want to keep a special emphasis on the curse of Ham. Because Nimrod's going to reveal to us what this curse is really all about. That it had nothing to do with seeing his dad's nakedness. There was so much more involved. And Nimrod will reveal to us what's involved with this next part of this, what this curse is going to be all about. Okay? Nimrod plays a major role in that. So we're going to break off here and get ready to get into part 5 of this. And we're going to come in part 5, starting with Nimrod. Okay? All right. Be there. Okay. I want to address this situation that's going on with Noah and Ham and Ham's curse and all of that. The problem that I have is that the people who translated this new information in the Bible, okay, and when you look at my video on the problems that I'm having with this new Bible translations, in one of those videos I mentioned, I gave a list of some of the people who are making these translations, even into these modern times, in the 1980s and 1990s, and the 2000s. You know what I mean? And they're making these translations based on the racial temperature and climate that's going on right now and all that. That's bad enough. But even worse than that, you are taking God's word, the Holy Bible, because of your position and being able to be in the position where you can mess around and tamper with the Holy Bible. Okay, some church situation or some people who are in financial situations where they can actually tamper with the Holy Bible. Okay, and you're doing it and putting this whole racial thing involved. Okay, so that said, all right, so let's look at what really happened. Starting with, okay, Noah built a vineyard out there where he's at. And there's only 8 people on the whole earth at this time. Noah, his sons, Ham, Shem, Japheth, and Ham, and their wives. Okay, Noah builds a great vineyard. You figure a few years have passed, and he makes a vineyard one day, and now he's out there, he gets drunk, and he's laying out there drunk, naked and drunk. And there's only 8 people in the whole world, and there shouldn't be no big deal one way or the other. Well, he comes out and sees his dad's nakedness. All right. He goes back and tells the 2 brothers, Shem and Japheth, okay, dad's out there laying out there naked. They come, they get Noah's garment, they walk backwards and put the garment on without looking at Noah's nakedness. They cover him with his garment. When Noah wakes up and realizes what happens, he says, "Cursed be you, Ham, for you shall be servants unto your brothers." Then, of course, he gives a prophecy. There will be a feast at Shem's house. Japheth will be the guest of honor there, and Ham will be the servants of these 2. Okay, this is the old Bibles that I learned from a long time ago saying this. I'm going to come back to that in a second. Now I'm going to look at what they said here in this translation. It says here, when Noah woke from his wine and knew what his younger son Ham done to him, he said, "Cursed be you, Canaan." That's Canaan, not Ham. Canaan is Ham's great grandson. "A servant of servants shall you be unto your brethren." And he said, "Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be their servants." Okay? Now, the reason why I freak out at that's the way that's written like that, okay? It's kind of saying the same thing, but the old Bibles, you kind of understand what the curse is all about. As you continue on reading, you'll see what the real curse is all about. And it really was not so much about him seeing his dad's nakedness. It had to do with Ham and what his generations were going to be coming up soon. Okay, the first number one thing, and I know I'm getting in front of myself, but this is too important. The first number one thing, they brought false god worship in the world. That's the first thing. And from their families, and of course we're going to see with Nimrod. We're going to see with Nimrod, the major part. He's the next story coming up. We're going to see how I don't want to say things because I don't want to be the spoiler and give it away. Spoiler alert. So, but I will say this much. One of the families coming down in Ham's side were going to be the people who created Sodom and Gomorrah, just to give you an example. Okay. So this curse had nothing to do with some racial thing, like, you know what I mean? The way they try to word it. But now let me explain this other side of that. Okay. The other side of that is you have to understand. He said, "Cursed be you, Canaan, for you shall be a servant unto your brothers. There will be a feast at Shem's house." Why Shem? Because Shem, three major reasons. One, Shem is going to continue on worshiping the God of Abraham. Okay, he's going to continue on worshiping the God of Abraham. And from his lineage is going to come Abraham. And that, of course, that lineage over there is going to bring in Yeshua Jesus into the world. Okay, that one lineage, as we're going to see in the Bible. If you follow my videos, you'll find all that out. Okay, this is the first thing. Okay, and Japheth will be the guest of honor there. Now here it doesn't say that. It says Japheth, God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. Okay, Japheth. Oh yeah, Japheth. I said that Japheth, he starts Arabia and goes east, his people, and they go east to far east, from Arabia all the way towards China, okay? And we know that somewhere along the line, you have to pass Russia, the Slavic countries, and here comes white people that will end up creating Europe and all of that, okay? They'll create Europa. Okay, and that would be the white people. So they're favoring this whole thing with Shem, with the Jews. And again, I remember, I didn't say it. I don't know if I said it already, but I'm definitely going to be saying it soon. And I'm going to say it here. Just spoiler alert: everybody under this sun's want to have some kind of tie to Abraham. Everybody, because that's where all the blessings of people are. So everybody's going to have their little tie to Abraham. There's religions fighting this world, fighting to this very day, because they all want to have that little tie to Abraham. And this is part of this reason why Shem, Shem, he's going to get the big blessings. And Japheth, the white people there, they're going to have those blessings over there. And Ham's going to be the little servant. Ham and all the people of color, they're going to be the little slaves of all of this. That's the way they wrote it. Okay, because we're all of us come from these three people. I come from Ham. Okay, the African. Okay, so And so for those who didn't know, I don't know this, this is why I'm freaking out about this, because the people who are making the translations, making these translations in the Bible, they're favoring it a certain kind of way, so that, the Jewish people and white folk, they're going to be, they're going to have all the blessings of the world, this, that, and the other, where the black folk and the African and people of color are going to be the slaves and the servants of these two. But here's the kicker. In the end, you follow my Bible videos to the end, you're going to see how all three of them are going to end up getting the curse. Anyway, all three of the brothers and their generations way down later years later, they're all going to get the curse. But I just don't like the priority and the emphasis on how, these culture over here are going to get all these wonderful blessings, and this people over here are going to be the little slaves. That's my problem with it all. Okay, all right. So I hope that you'll understand better what's going on here. Okay, all right. Be cool. Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.